Good morning, everybody. Hopefully you had a wonderful first weekend of true summer and got a lot of stuff to cover today that I think you'll find interesting, so we'll get started here. So this is out of ARP, 6 numbers that reveal the state of your financial health. Find out what changes can make to help, let me try that again. Find out what changes you can make to help secure your future. These are things you already know, but it never hurts to review them with a client or a prospect. So let's look at this. First one is monthly cash flow, which is the single most important number. Why? Because that's going to tell us what? Are we negative cash flow or positive cash flow? Retirement savings, obviously, why you need it. It's the number that will determine your income above and beyond Social Security. How to find it, you know how to find that. What to do with it? Divide by 25. Why do they want you to divide your retirement savings by 25? Hard question. What are they using? What rule of withdrawal are they using here? What rule of withdrawal are they using here? Yep, 4%. Good job. So is that a good number to use nowadays, guys? No. So even ARP, I mean, these national magazines, I understand they have a wide audience and they have to keep things simple, but do they simplify things at times? Or should I say always? Yeah, they always do. So 5Q, are there ways to increase, okay, what do you do with the divide 4%, add number of Social Security and other income sources? Are there other ways to increase that over 4%? Do we have ways to do that? Yeah, how many other advisors have a way to do that safely? None. Credit score, this is something you should talk to your clients about. Why do you need it? Raising it brings many benefits. What are some of the benefits? Loan rates, for one thing, property casualty insurance rates. There's so many things that are tied to your credit nowadays. How to find it, free copy of Credit Karma. Guys, would this be a good question to ask your clients? Oh yeah, that's exactly right, Nick. Is this a good question or to ask your clients? When is the last time you got your free copy of your score, of your credit score from Credit Karma, Credit Sesame, or any of the other ones? Is that a good question to ask your clients? How many of them could tell you what their credit score is? Probably about half. So what do you do with it? If it's below 760, you'll want to improve it. How you improve it? Pay bills on time, lower your balances no more than 30% of the limit, and there's other techniques as well. Debt to income ratio is another number. Why you need it? Crucial for large loans and peace of mind. So if you're getting a car loan or a home loan, they're going to want to know your debt to income ratio. Highest interest on debt. Hopefully you're helping your clients with this. Obviously you want to pay down unacceptable debt. Why? What do I mean by unacceptable debt? So I have a good chunk of money, but do I have debt? Do I have a home? Do I have a mortgage on my house? What do you think? Knowing what you know about me, do you think I have a mortgage on my house or not? I do. Why? I have a mortgage on my house. Why? So I got my mortgage through my credit union. So what do you think my rate was? I locked in at basically the lowest rate. So I got about a 2.25 interest rate on my mortgage. Why would I not want a mortgage if they're giving me a mortgage at 2.25%? I bought windows at 2%. I have a solar on my house at a 2% loan. So guys, what is unacceptable debt? Is 2%? Yeah, that's right, Dale. Cheap money. Is 2% acceptable debt? If I've got other money out there and I'm putting it into not buying a Lamborghini, but home improvements or things like that, is it acceptable? Yeah. So what's unacceptable debt? Buying a Lamborghini is unacceptable debt. Revolving for sure is unacceptable debt. So debt is not necessarily. So what do you guys tell your clients when it comes to paying off their mortgage? What I told them is this. I said that, you know what? Net worth is net worth. It doesn't matter whether it's in your home or whether it's in an investment. And guys, with houses, what are houses going on? What is real estate doing right now? Going up or down in value? Is having a house a good investment right now. So I tell them financially, if I was going to only talk to you about financially, this is clients that have money. This is clients that already have money. So I could pay my mortgage off 30 times over if I wanted to, but I don't want to. I took it out because it's cheap money. If you can, if you can easily pay off your mortgage with your investments, it's okay to have a mortgage. So financially, it makes sense to have a mortgage. Now, does that mean everybody should have a mortgage? No, because there's another aspect to retirement planning, which is what? Psychology or emotions. And if it's more emotionally beneficial to have that paid up, then you should what? Even if the financially makes sense to go ahead and have a mortgage, if it feels better emotionally, you should what? It's certainly not a bad decision to pay off your mortgage, is it? Yeah, pay it off, pay it off. So if they want to know nuts and bolts financially, if it makes sense, go ahead and have one. If it makes you feel better emotionally to have that done, that you own your home outright and nobody can ever take that away from you, then go ahead and pay it off. So there's no right answer, but you want to have this discussion of what is acceptable debt, what's unacceptable debt. Does that make sense? Social Security benefit. What to do with it, make sure you use a Social Security calculator to determine your best time to begin. And let's talk, that brings up the big thing. I kind of skipped through that. Why you need to know your Social Security benefit? Well, more than 50% of older Americans receive at least 50% of their income from Social Security. You can sign up for My Social Security account at ssa.gov to find out what yours is going to be, and then use Social Security calculator to determine the best time to begin. Now, let's talk about Social Security. What's happening to Social Security? Well, there's two new reports that have come out. One from the actual Social Security trustees, which is the most important one. Then we have one from Wharton Business School. So what are these two saying? Well, basically this. Wharton Business School model says that pre-pandemic, Social Security is going to run out in 2036. Post-pandemic, 2034. Post-pandemic estimate extended recession, 2032. So somewhere between 2034 and 2032 is going to run out of money. What does the Bipartisan Policy Center say? We're going to run out of money by 2030. What does Social Security actuaries say? 2034. So it matches the Wharton School of Business trustees. Congressional Budget Office, 2031. So what does this say about Social Security? Should you be having this discussion with your clients? Should you, even more importantly, have this discussion about the viability of Social Security with your prospects? Yes. So Social Security trust funds will be exhausted somewhere between 2030 and 2035. So we know for sure that it's going to be a run out of money. So here's the two common myths that consumers have when it comes to, and let's see if I can get you to, this is from the Journal of Financial Service Professionals. So that's where the source of this is. So two common myths consumers have. One is because Social Security is underfunded, get it now, because I'll lock in if I get it now, and I'll tell you straight out, I had this delusion too. I said, I'm going to pull it at 62 because I want to get it while the getting's good, because once they lock in my benefit, they can't take it away. Guess what? Can they take it away once they give it to you? Yes, and I'll explain why. I'll explain why here in a few minutes. And these are discussions you need to have with your client. So it still makes sense. Just because you lock it in at 62 doesn't mean they're going to not reduce that benefit in the future. So if you can, it still makes sense to wait as long as you can so you can increase the benefits. Because if they're going to cut the benefit, would you rather them cut a benefit that's larger or cut a benefit that's smaller? You want them to cut the benefit that's larger. Does that make sense? So that's the first mistake that people are making right now. The second one is, no worries. Congress always steps in to fix it. In today's world, is Congress acting the way it has for 100 years? Or are the divisions so wide now that nothing gets done? So what's the likelihood that we're going to have bipartisan, hey, kumbaya, let's hold hands and fix this problem? What's the likelihood that's going to happen? High or low? They're going to fix it when? Midnight, the day before the thing collapses, right? So there is a problem. We need to look at the problem. We need to look at the solutions. So big problem is what? The population is aging. 1950, there were 16 workers funding one retiree. 1965 workers supporting one. 2015, 3 workers supporting one. By 2035, it's going to be 2 workers supporting one person. Does that mean that Social Security is going to get better or get worse? This is going to start to accelerate. And yet onto that, Americans are living longer and longer and longer. Now, why can't this just fix itself? Why can't it just fix itself? Here's why. Law prohibits Social Security benefits from being paid out of general revenue. That means, well, that's kind of unfortunate because for 7 decades, what has been happening? They've taken the Social Security benefits and been putting it into the general revenue. But is that a two-way street or a one-way street? Two-way or one-way? So they've been using Social Security payouts to fund the general revenue. But now, because if they've been putting all the money that's been going into Social Security into a fund and not using it, we'd have money till, Timbuktu. But they didn't. They've been using it for general revenue. But law prohibits Social Security benefits being paid out of general revenue. So can they just take it out of the regular tax bill? Can they just sell bonds to fund Social Security? Nope, they can't. So they can't fix it by that. Also, law says it can't borrow, which is why they can't issue bonds. So that means how much of the funds, how much of Social Security has to come from the payroll taxes? Based on those two things, based on can't pay paid out of general revenue and can't borrow, how much of the funds, that's right, Jeff, how much of the funds, that's right, Bruce, yep, exactly, 100% has to come from those taxes. But we see it's going to be exhausted. Only 79% of the benefits could be paid. That means benefits are going to have to be cut, what? By 21%. Now, the good news is, and our study showed that if they didn't do anything, and the benefits were cut by 21%, the Social Security benefit could last till 2090. So this is what would you call this then? The 21% benefit cut for you, me, and all of our clients. What would we call this? Worst case scenario, right? This is the worst case scenario. So you can tell your clients, worst case scenario is you're going to have 80% of your Social Securities. This is the worst case scenario, because even if it does that, we have till 2090. But are there some fixes that if Congress got its act together, and remember, who's the only entity that can fix this? Can the president fix this? Can the Federal Reserve fix this? Who's the only entity that can fix this? Congress. So what kind of fixes could they have? Well, one is, I'm going to show you here in a second. One is they can increase, I'm going to come back to this one. Sorry about that. So one is they could change the CPI from regular CPI to a chain CPI. And look at what would happen. So that's slowing down the increases per year. That's not going to fix it, but could that help? That you guys are all coming with good ideas here. So remind me, if I forget, remind me to come back to this, guys. They could also hide things unless, one of the reasons they don't want to change Social Security is it's the third rail, right? Nobody wants to say, let's cut Social Security. So what they can do is they can hide it in legislation, different types of things. One type of way they could hide it in legislation is to say, okay, we're going to include the Roth withdrawals in provisional income calculation. So if they include the Roth withdrawals in provisional income calculation, can they still say that Roth withdrawals are tax-free? Yes, they can. But really, in reality, they're not any longer, right, if you're receiving Social Security. So that's the type of thing they could hide in legislation. That would not fix it, but they might have to fix Social Security through one big change or many little changes. Many little. They could also subject 100% of Social Security to taxes. They could also subject 100% of Social Security to taxes. So instead of having anything above 32 is 50% tax, anything above 44 is 85%, they could do all of that. Right? They could get rid of that and just say 100% of Social Security is taxed from 0 all the way up. They could do that. They could also, instead of capping the wage cap where they at what right now is what is it 147 or something like that. They get rid of that and just say if you're making 500,000, you're going to pay Social Security taxes on 500,000. That's another way they can do it. They can raise the full retirement age. That's another way they can do it, right? They could means test Social Security, and that could be implemented overnight. But the one thing we do know is what? There is no status quo. They can't just keep things the way they are. So should we not be discussing this with clients? This change is going to come, right? Change is going to come. So should we be talking to this about our prospects and our clients? And how many advisors do you think out there are having this discussion with these different things? Because I don't think very many. So let's talk about this. This is talking about implied returns delaying Social Security from 62 to 70. So see, one of the ways that people look at Social Security is when's my break even, right? If I start drawing my Social Security at 62 instead of waiting for my full retirement age or age 70, when's my break even? Well, currently, your break even for somebody who's withdrawing, this just assumes a retiree with $10,000 full benefit retirement age 67, their break even is 80. The break even is 80. If they cut Social Security, what happens to the break even point? What happens to the break even point? Goes up. Yes. So for a healthy couple, for a healthy couple and one lived to age 90, current benefits, it would make sense to wait until age 70 because you'd get an average rate of return of 5.29% on your Social Security by waiting till age 70. Even with the cut, it still makes sense to wait or take it early. Even with the 25% cut, it still makes sense to take it early or wait. It still makes sense to wait. Does that make sense? And again, they're not talking about a 25% cut. The worst case scenario is what again? What's the worst case scenario? 21. So that means this is going to be even higher. So should we, if our clients can wait, should we be recommending our clients wait to take Social Security? Yes. Does that make sense? So this is a good chart to be showing folks. So maybe Missy and would anybody be interested in having this chart to show your clients? Say why? Yeah. So I didn't. Sorry, Missy and Tricia, I didn't prepare you for this. But if we can get this available to folks, this is a great chart for people to be showing their clients. So
I'll go ahead and post it with the call, so it will be on the call replay.
Super. So should our clients know that they could have a lowering price index? Do we have a income withdrawal plan that addresses inflation, guys? What do we call our inflation adjusted program, withdrawal program? The sale. Very good, John. Very good. The sale. Everybody's got it. John, Nick, Mark. Yep. So we have to pay attention to what's happening in legislation because they can hide things like this, which will affect us. You know, and our magazines, our newspapers do a good job of keeping us up to date. They're not going to be able. They may be able to slide this through on the public, but we'll be able to figure it out, and we should be talking to our clients about it when that happens. And then we have to talk to our clients about, hey, should we be concerned about Social Security being taxed? Yes, we should, because that could change quickly. Now, many of our clients are retired, so this won't affect them as much, but this could affect them. And is it necessarily going to be grandfathered in? In today's world, will they necessarily grandfather anything in? They used to, but when you have no money, you got no money. So can you grandfather things when you have no money? No money is no money. So there's not necessarily you're going to be grandfathered in on this. So we need to be talking about what we're going to do when Social Security changes. Because they're not, is it any longer if Social Security changes? Is that any longer a question? If Social Security changes, we should be ready. No, it's when Social Security changes, we better be ready. And that when is coming up quickly or not quickly? We're talking about it within 10 years. And how quickly does 10 years happen? Quick. So how does 5Q deal with this? So we said, how much could their income go down by? How much could their income go down by? 21%. Do we have ways to increase their income by 25%, which more than makes up for the amount that Social Security goes down? Yes. In fact, our unique selling proposition is what? We have two different ways to say this. One is, I show people how to increase the income generated by their current investments by 25% with no additional risk by simply using a formula developed by the University of San Francisco School of Business. What's this talking about, guys? What technique on our website do we have that this is talking about? No. The sale. That's right, Walt. The sale. This is the sale. Because with the sale, do they need to move their investments to utilize the sale? Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They have to move their investments to the sale. Because remember, guys, it's the bucket strategy, right? So if they have all their money in stocks, will the sale work? No. If they have all their money in bonds, will the sale work? No. If they have all their money in savings, will the sale work? No. So our unique selling proposition for the sale is, I show people how to increase their income generated by their investments by 25% with no additional risk by using a formula developed by the University of San Francisco School of Business. They have to move their money. Now, the second way to say that is, I show people how to increase income generated by their current investments by 25% and or more, and lessen the chance of running out of money without changing their investments. Which one are we talking about there? The HECM. Okay? The HECM. Because do you need to move your assets with the HECM? No, it's simply withdrawing your investments in a different way. And if you don't know how to do that, guys, make sure you go to the 5Q. Does anybody not know how to find how the HECM works? Okay, good. Everybody, I'm not getting an answer. Everybody knows how to do it. So you don't need to move money. Now, so how important is it that we're talking about these things? First of all, how many clients want to know how to increase their income by 25% without changing any of their investments and lessening the chance of running out of money? Everybody does. But it's even more important now when you talk about what? So when you're talking about the goal section, so let's just quick go. I'm going to escape out of here a second. Get into our site here. And we go into the meeting process and we go into the agreement meeting. We're not going to change this, but that's why you should be on coaching calls, because we can make changes on the spot. So when we get to, when we talk about money lasts a lifetime and going up by 25 to 100%, should we be talking about Social Security here? The fact that what's happening to Social Security? Should we be talking about this goal? What will it do to their eagerness to talk about this if we also bring up Social Security running out of money and reducing their benefit by 21%? One shape or form, the benefit's going to have to be reduced by 21%. We don't know how they're going to reduce that benefit by 21%, but it's going to have to be reduced by 21%, one way or the other. So this should already be a 5. And for those of you that have ever done this, has anybody gotten anybody say less than a 5 on this? Because I'd love to hear a tape where somebody says this is less than a 5. On a scale of 1 to 5, less than a 5, I wanted to do this. And that's going to go off the scales now. Or you could also talk about it when? Down here, when you're talking about Social Security. You know, not only should we make sure that you have that program, because when you lose one of your, if they decrease the benefit by 21% and you lose your spouse's Social Security, what's going to happen to your income? Now, how big of you were in a pickle before, now how big of a pickle are you going to be in? So guys, do you have tools with 5Q that nobody else has? Well, yes, you do. But those tools do you how good if they're sitting in the tool chest? They don't. So talking to Matt, Jerry, Missy, right now, we've got about a little left under half of our guys out there marketing. I'll say to the other half of the guys that dudes, if you're not out marketing, talking about these things, you have, first of all, many of your competitors have not turned on their marketing yet. You got to get out there and market. And do we have ways to market at no cost, guys? Yes. Do we have ways to market at low cost? Yes. Do we have the holy grail where all of our top 10 guys are doing, which are already out there doing seminars? Yes. So whether you have no money, have some money, or you're very successful and you want to beat everybody else to the punch, you should be marketing now, not waiting for things to happen. And if you can do it for free at low cost or at the regular way with seminars, is there any reason not to be out there talking about these things right now? Because I'm telling you, people, this is a conversation the public is eager to have. Make sense? So this is what I wanted to cover today to kind of light your jets to get doing stuff, because this is the conversation people are worried about. This is a conversation people want to have today. We need to be out there talking about it. And the only way you're going to talk about it is to use some of our marketing. And again, we have low cost, we have no cost, low cost, and we have regular events. Get out there and talk to people about these things. You're going to find that they're going to be welcoming you with open arms. Does that make sense? And that you guys are the knights on the white horse to help people, because other advisors are not talking about these things. Does that make sense? Coolio. Well, thanks for being on the call today. Hopefully you found this is worthwhile information. Please, if you did, put it to use, and we will talk to you all next Monday. Thanks, everybody, for being on the call.